Have you ever had an idea that made your heart race? Something you knew was special, yet you couldn't move. You felt it in your spirit, burning to be born, but somehow, fear built a wall between you and the first step. Days passed, then weeks. Then suddenly the idea felt distant, like a dream slipping through your fingers. You told yourself you'd start when you had more money, more time, more courage. But deep down you knew the truth. It wasn't lack of resources holding you back. It was fear. Fear disguised as logic. Fear dressed up as preparation. Fear whispering that maybe you're not ready yet. But here's the secret no one tells you. You'll never feel ready. You just have to start anyway. Every great dream begins as a whisper. A thought so small it almost feels fragile. It visits you when you least expect it. During a quiet drive, a morning prayer, a sleepless night. It stirs your heart, sparks your imagination, and reminds you that you were made for more. But right after that spark comes something else. A voice. Every great dream begins as a whisper. A thought so small it almost feels fragile. It visits you when you least expect it. During a quiet drive, a morning prayer, a sleepless night. It stirs your heart, sparks your imagination, and reminds you that you were made for more. But right after that spark comes something else. A voice. The fear of starting is subtle. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It shows up as endless planning, overthinking, and self-doubt. You tell yourself you're being responsible, waiting for the right moment. But what you're really doing is hesitating. Every great idea begins as a spark, but fear wants to smother that flame before it ever becomes a fire. It convinces you that failure is inevitable, that you'll embarrass yourself, that people will talk. And because you listen, your idea begins to die quietly. Not from rejection, but from neglect. The truth is, the most dangerous enemy of greatness isn't failure. It's hesitation. You can recover from mistakes, but you can't recover what you never begin.
Overthinking is where most dreams go to die. You try to predict every outcome, solve every obstacle in advance, and map out a perfect path before you take the first step. But perfection is an illusion. It's fear pretending to be wisdom. You don't need to know every step of the staircase to take the first one. Every great creation, every business, movement, or ministry started messy, uncertain, and imperfect. Clarity doesn't come before you move. It comes because you move. The people who reach their goals aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who start when it's still blurry.
Sometimes fear hides behind comfort. You tell yourself you're content, that maybe the timing isn't right, that life is okay where it is. But deep down, you feel the restlessness. The idea keeps returning, haunting you, calling you higher. Comfort is the silent killer of destiny. It feels safe, but it slowly drains your drive, your energy, your purpose. The longer you stay in what's familiar, the harder it becomes to step into what's possible. Growth will always require leaving something behind, an old habit, an old identity, sometimes even old company. You can't stay comfortable and be called at the same time. There's the weight of the past, the sting of what didn't work before. Maybe you tried once and failed. Maybe you opened your heart, started a business, shared your art, or took a leap, and it didn't go as planned. Now the memory of that pain follows you, whispering, "Don't do it again." But failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the price of entry. The only people who don't fail are the ones who never try. Every failure teaches you something success never could. Resilience, humility, wisdom. The first attempt didn't define you. Your response to it does. Comparison is a silent thief. You scroll through media and see others thriving. Their success makes your idea feel small. You start to believe there's no room left, that you're too late. But purpose isn't a race, it's an assignment. What's meant for you doesn't expire because someone else started earlier. The world doesn't need another copy of what already exists. It needs your voice, your expression, your version of the idea. The moment you stop comparing and start creating, fear loses its grip. Your lane was designed for you alone. No one else can walk it. We often wait for the perfect time, but perfect time doesn't exist. Conditions will never align perfectly. That's by design. If everything were easy, faith wouldn't be necessary. Fear will always find a reason to delay. Not enough money, too many distractions, not enough experience. But time is passing whether you move or not. A quote that says, "A year from now, you'll wish you had started today." The seed of your idea is already planted. Waiting another year only ensures it stays buried. The clock is ticking, and hesitation is the silent thief of destiny. There is the fear of being seen. Many people don't fear failure, they fear visibility. The moment you step out, you expose yourself to opinions, criticism, and misunderstanding. You fear what people will say, but here's the truth. They'll talk whether you start or not. The courage to be seen is the birth of freedom. When you stop performing for approval and start moving with purpose, you'll attract the right people and repel the wrong ones. Some won't understand your journey. They weren't meant to. You don't owe everyone clarity. You owe yourself obedience. Confusion is a layer of fear. You don't know where to begin. Your ideas feels too big, too complex. But get this, confusion often appears right before clarity. The mistake most people make is waiting for complete understanding before they act. The truth is you learn by doing. You find direction through movement, not contemplation. God never promised a full roadmap, only light for the next step. If you're waiting for every detail, you'll wait forever. Take one small action and the next step will reveal itself. Fear doesn't always shout, "Don't start!" Instead, it whispers, "Be wise. Wait a little longer." It hides behind practical excuses. You need more money. You need more time. You need more experience. It convinces you that caution is maturity, when in truth it's hesitation disguised as wisdom. But wisdom without movement becomes wasted insight. Preparation has its place, but no amount of planning can replace action. You can't steer a parked car. Direction comes when you move. Start small if you must. Start scared if you must. But start. The greatest breakthroughs rarely happen in comfort. They happen when someone decides that progress matters more than perfection. God meets you in motion, not in waiting. The longer you delay, the more the vision fades, until one day it feels like it was never yours to begin with. When you study people who built something extraordinary, you see a pattern. None of them began fully prepared. Sarah Blakely had never worked in fashion when she created Spanx. She sold fax machines door to door and used her savings to chase an idea everyone dismissed. She heard no more than 100 times before hearing yes once, but that one yes changed everything. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. What separated them wasn't talent, it was persistence in the face of fear. They acted before certainty. They trusted the nudge, the spark, the conviction that something greater was waiting. That's how miracles unfold. Not in perfect conditions, but in imperfect courage. Every world changer you admire began with trembling hands, a flawed plan, and a faith that movement was better than regret. Most people don't lack ideas, they lack the courage to act on them. The battle isn't between success and failure, it's between faith and fear. Every time an idea is placed in your spirit, you are given a chance to grow. That dream isn't random, it's an invitation. The question is, will you answer? The tragedy is that many people pray for miracles while ignoring the seed already in their hands. They want signs from heaven when the sign is already inside their heart. When you delay what you've been called to start, you're not just postponing progress, you're postponing purpose. You never know whose freedom, inspiration, or healing is waiting on your obedience. The dream isn't just about you, it's about those destined to be touched by what you dare to create. Starting doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. It means you've decided. Fear won't decide for you. Courage is often misunderstood as the absence of fear, but it is the choice to move through fear. You'll shake, doubt, and question yourself, but that's part of the refining process. Every step forward weakens the voice of fear. Think about it. The first video, the first book draft, the first pitch, they'll never feel perfect. But you can't improve what you never begin. Action breeds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Once you start, you realize fear was never a wall. It was a fog. It looked thick from a distance, but once you walk through, you see it was never solid. The moment you act, your power returns. That's how courage is built, one trembling step at a time. There's an unseen law that rewards obedience over certainty. When you act on what's been placed in your heart, something supernatural begins to align. Doors open that no resume could have earned. People appear that no networking could have arranged. It's as if heaven itself waits for your yes. The universe responds to movement. Destiny unfolds only when faith is exercised. You'll never experience divine timing if you refuse to move when prompted. Many people miss their season because they expect signs before action, but signs follow obedience. When you take the first step, God takes 10 toward you. When you move with faith, fear loses its foundation. What you've been waiting for is waiting on you, and it's been waiting far too long.
Every delay comes with a cost, not just lost time, but lost confidence. Every time you say, maybe later, your courage weakens. You begin to second guess, to overanalyze, to lose the emotional fire that once fueled the dream. The more you wait, the heavier starting feels. But every small act of movement rebuilds your faith. Each step forward restores belief, not only in God's timing, but in your own capability. You were never created to live half awake, trapped in potential. You were designed to build, create, lead, and bring ideas to life. That's why unfulfilled purpose hurts. It's spiritual frustration. The cure isn't more thinking, it's action. Each act of obedience strengthens the next one until fear becomes too small to stop you. The world doesn't need more dreamers, it needs more who begin. We live in a generation overflowing with potential, but starving for execution. Everyone wants to be inspired, but few want to be consistent. The truth is, every major transformation started with someone who simply took the first imperfect step. The dreamers have imagined enough, and the world changes when someone decides to do. Don't wait for motivation, create momentum. Motivation fades, but momentum sustains. When you start, even if no one claps, even if no one sees, the act itself shifts something inside you. You realize that the real reward isn't success, it's becoming the kind of person who starts despite fear. That's when destiny begins to unfold. So here's your reminder. Fear will always whisper, not yet. But destiny whispers louder, now. Don't let hesitation bury what heaven planted in you. Don't let comfort rob you of calling. Don't let doubt steal your design. The first step doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be taken. The wall of fear isn't real. It's built from the stories you keep telling yourself. The moment you take action, the wall begins to crumble. One step, one idea, one act of obedience. That's all it takes. Your future is waiting, but it won't wait forever. Start now.